It's Neorcus here. I just spent over 10 hours playing the Dune Awakening in the beta weekend, trying to figure out if the game is worth buying. And so far, I'm leaning towards no. It is quite disappointing to me because I absolutely love the Dune universe. And this game was one of my most anticipated game of the year. But yeah, let's talk about it. Right now, the TLDR is pretty much survival aspect good, Dune IP good, combat is really bad, I just can't get into it, and the performance is not that great. So what is Dune Awakening? It's pretty run-of-the-mill survival game. If you played something like Conan Exiles, you're gonna be extremely familiar with this type of game. You run around collecting materials, fighting enemies, crafting items, and building your base, trying to survive from all the things that the Arrakis is throwing at you, which early on pretty much means sandworms, the heat, and lack of water. Later on, you will start getting a different type of enemies, and you're also gonna fight against other players. So what are some of the aspects that I really enjoyed when it comes to Dune Awakening? I think they did a really good job with like the survival aspect of the game. I feel like they found a really good balance without the survival being like super annoying. I was kind of worried about the water element in the game, but it's fairly easy to find water. It wasn't annoying at all. The Dune universe is such a good fit for this type of survival game. And I think that's definitely the biggest highlight of this game. I don't know if I would even be like making this video if the game wasn't Dune IP, honestly. I found the early pacing really well done, in my opinion. The game kept me engaged really well in like the first 6 to 7 hours. You constantly learn new things, you build new things, you find new things in the world. You get used to kind of the point of interest, and I didn't really get bored in my first 6 to 7 hours. I was really getting into it. Obviously, there's a couple things that kind of reduce my enjoyment, which we'll be talking in the negatives, but yeah. I also really love the feeling of danger, which was mostly done by the sandworm in the beginning. Just hearing and seeing them pop out, it's pretty awesome. I really like this aspect. I also thought it's really cool to kind of see other people's buildings in the world. It really makes you feel like you're part of this kind of a universe. It's not quite the MMO level, but they're definitely trying to simulate that. And I think it's pretty successful. And then lastly, I think graphically the game looks pretty solid, even on the lowest settings, which is kind of expected because it's an Unreal 5 game. So I don't think this is a big surprise to anyone that the game looks pretty good. Well, but we're gonna talk about the negatives, the things that I didn't like about, but pretty much the main reasons why I'm not gonna be buying the game on release. Honestly, to me, after 10 hours of gameplay, I just can't really imagine anything the game could throw at me and I would be like surprised by it. I feel like I've pretty much done all the content it has to offer at that point, and all the point of interest kind of started to really repeating themselves. I do understand that this is kind of how most survival games work, and I think it would be completely fine without the next talking point, which is the combat. It's bad. I basically just started completely avoiding melee combat and only using guns. I just couldn't find any enjoyment in it at all. And I think even the Conan Exiles had a better combat, which is kind of wild to me. This is easily the biggest reason why I'm not interested buying the game, unless there's like some massive changes the way the combat works. And I feel like when it comes to the combat in this game, at least based on kind of the online discourse I've been reading, I'm really not alone on hating the combat. I've seen a couple of people say they really like it, but mostly it seems to be people kind of hating on it, so hopefully they listen to the feedback and they make some massive changes that could really change everything for me, really. And the third really big thing is the performance of the game. The game right now has some massive performance issues. It makes it pretty terrible to play, even if you have a pretty high FPS number. In the benchmark, I got like a solid 130 to 160 FPS result. But trying to play the game with those settings, it's pretty much unplayable. I've seen like FPS numbers as low as 15 in those trials, which is kind of weird because the trials feels like they are completely separated area of the game and they seem to be running the worst. But I think that's completely unacceptable. Frame time is all over the place. So even if I'm getting like plus 100 FPS, it still feels awful because of the stuttering, and the 1% lows are so bad. All in all, I'm pretty glad that I got to play the beta weekend. It's probably gonna save me 40 euros. Like I said, maybe if there's some major changes to the combat, I will reconsider it, but so far I just kind of failed to see how the game could be any fun and enjoyable experience beyond that like 10 hours I already played. It's only like a 1 month till release, so I'm not gonna be holding my breath for the game. I am a bit disappointed because, like I said, this game was my #1 game for the year, so I feel like my year for gaming is pretty much done now. Like, I guess I go back to playing Fortnite, I don't know. But yeah, I would love to hear you guys what you think about Dune Awakening. If you played this weekend, like, do you agree with the combat? How was your performance? I would be really curious to hear. and how you like feel about the general gameplay overall. Like, how does it compare to other survival games? Yeah, give this video a like if you found it helpful. Maybe even subscribe to my channel. That really helps me out. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.